Afternoon, the murder case of former Bafana and Orlando Pirates captain Senzo Meyiwa has been postponed until the 27th of November in the Boksburg Magistrates Court east of Johannesburg. The 5 suspects were arrested in connection with that murder yesterday. Themba Sibiya, Bongani Ntazi, Mthobisi Ncube, Mthokozisi Mapisa and Sfiso Ntuli have been charged with murder, attempted murder, robbery with aggravated circumstances and possession of unlicensed firearms and ammunition. All of the accused have decided not to apply for bail. Some say they had already been in prison in connection with other cases. Earlier, they refused to enter the dock in the Boksburg Magistrates Court, saying they did not kill the soccer star. They say they don't understand why they've been arrested in connection with Meyiwa's murder. Dozens of people are outside the Boksburg Magistrates Court calling for justice for Meyiwa, and that's where we go now. We go outside that court. Our reporter Maageketla Mohlabe is outside court alongside Chriselda. Lewis, let's start with you, Maageketla. Tell us what's happening.
Yeah, a very good day to you and Zinga. And of course, the scenes that you see here are the same scenes that we saw ever since the morning, the 8 hours of the morning. Supporters coming through to actually show solidarity and of course demanding justice for the slain soccer goalkeeper Senzo Meyiwa. And of course anytime soon, anytime from now, we are actually likely to see that convoy coming out of that gate on my left hand shoulder, ferrying away those 5 suspects. Of course, as you mentioned in the intro, they are expected to be back in court on the 37th of November. But let's just try to get my colleague Chriselda Lewis in here. She was in court throughout that particular first appearance. Chriselda, just tell us the overall summary of what happened in court. First of all, it looks like there was no cooperation among these suspects in terms of taking to the dock.
Well, that's right, Maageketla. Just to bring us up to speed there, the matter has been postponed to the 27th of November, and quite an about turn of events inside court this morning where all of the accused, all 5 of them, refused to get into the dock. They're adamant they have nothing to do with this case. They claim that they have nothing to do with the murder of soccer sensation Senzo Meyiwa. In stark contrast, of course, to what the state had told us yesterday, indicating that they've got a watertight case against these suspects. And it seems like key to the evidence of this state's case that they've brought here is the firearm. You remember the firearm they've been looking for the past 6 years. The announcement yesterday by the police minister Maageketla, as well as the National Police Commissioner Ketla indicating that that firearm had been ballistically linked to the crime scene. So which certainly tells you that the state will be relying quite heavily on that evidence. But when we arrived in court this morning, just after the presiding magistrate had basically given the media the go-ahead to record and take these proceedings live, once the suspects came up, they refused to go into the dock. When they were asked why they don't want to go into the dock, they say they don't know why they are here. They feel that they are not in any way linked to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. When asked if they want legal representation for this particular matter, again, they told the court that they don't see the need to get legal representation because some of them are already serving jail time for other offences, and they say that they don't need legal representation for this matter because they have absolutely nothing to do with it. And what was quite interesting as well is that when we brought our application as the media to have this case broadcast live, the magistrate had also asked the accused if they had any objections to the matter, and each and every single one of the accused had basically said they want the nation to see, they have no objections whatsoever to the media capturing the events here at the Boksburg Magistrates Court, simply because they want the nation to see what has happened here. They also claimed that they were not arrested yesterday as claimed in that high high-profile press conference that was held yesterday by the top guns within the South African Police Service. So it really begs to ask the question at this point exactly how this case will proceed. We saw AfroForum as well, the private prosecutions unit headed by Advocate Chriselda. He was also here today. He says he's not perturbed by what the suspects themselves have said. He says they were briefed by the South African Police Service. They reiterated yesterday that they were told that this was an assassination. It was a deliberate hit on Senzo Meyiwa. So I guess then one asks the question, and I guess many of those who are gathered here today, then who gave that instruction for the assassination of Senzo Meyiwa? But, you know, in the court of public opinion, certainly a lot is going to be said, Maageketla, and I'd really like to stay away from that. What is important is what's going to happen inside this court and what is revealed there. What was revealed inside that court today is that these suspects say they were wrongfully arrested. They have nothing to do with the death of Senzo Meyiwa. They feel that there's a witch hunt against them. Anyone and everyone was arrested in this matter. And the state is adamant. I mean, to quote what they said yesterday, is they believe they've got a watertight case against these five suspects. So I tried to interview one of them as they were going back down to the cells here inside the Boksburg Magistrates Court, and adamant once again. They indicate that they have nothing to do with this matter, and that basically police had been on a witch hunt to arrest. I mean, there were questions already yesterday, Maageketla. It was the 6th anniversary of the passing of Senzo Meyiwa, and police announced on that day, yesterday, the nabbing of these suspects. Many asked the questions whether it was a coincidence that these arrests were made on the 6th anniversary of the killing of Senzo Meyiwa, and the police said, well, it's no coincidence. This is when they felt it was an opportune time for them to announce the arrest of these suspects in this high-profile matter. And there are particular questions as well. I was hoping that the National Prosecuting Authority, Sipho Ngwema, was going to join me now. He's a bit far away from me. It's a bit impossible to get to him now. But one of the key questions is about a leaked document which seems to allege that the police have also asked for the cell phone records of one of the individuals in this particular matter. I won't mention that name. That person has not yet appeared in court. We also, I think, have to solicit some kind of permission to see. We don't want to partake, in any jeopardy of the police investigation, I guess, in this particular matter. But I know that the police are playing the cards close to their chest. So is the state on this particular matter. They've not ruled out that they will make further arrests in this matter. Whether this also pertains to that individual whose cell phone records have been asked for certainly remains to be seen, and we hope to hear from the National Prosecuting Authority pertaining to that, Maageketla. But the case postponed to the 27th of November. We are unclear at this stage, given that the suspects said they don't want legal representation, if in the next appearance there won't be another setback again in terms of legal representation or requests for bail, of which all of them in this particular court appearance here this morning basically denied, saying they don't want bail. Some of them are serving sentences in jail for other crimes, and they feel that there's absolutely no need for them to get legal representation, because as far as they're concerned, this is a witch hunt. They have nothing to do with the killing of Senzo Meyiwa, and those are the sentiments that were shared inside court, much to the disappointment, if just lastly, the Maageketla, to the Meyiwa family. Just a few moments ago, Senzo Meyiwa, the brother of late Senzo Meyiwa, came out to address all these supporters outside court. He thanked them for supporting the family, and basically said he's shocked by what has taken place inside court. But you must remember, the family was briefed by the police minister Maageketla yesterday in Umlazi at the Meyiwa family home. So I guess a lot of questions are being raised at this point, and I guess it remains to be seen inside further court proceedings how this matter is going to continue to unfold. But what we're expecting in the next few moments is for the suspects now to be taken right back to the various facilities, correctional services facilities, where they are serving time for those other crimes. And I think from what we've seen here today, the large contingent of both correctional facility services personnel as well as the South African Police Service, the state is certainly not taking chances in this matter. But a lot more loopholes, I must say, at this particular point, Maageketla. But we'll wait for the court process to get underway once again.
Exceptional delivery there. Chriselda.
Thank you very much, Maageketla. Thank you very much.
Let's perhaps bring in the supporters, the people who have been outside this court in Zinga. They've been singing, they have been calling for justice for Bafana Captain Senzo Meyiwa. Or perhaps before that, let's bring in the NPA. Mr. Ngwenya, thanks so much for your time, Baba, and just to give us this opportunity to speak to you. There is a specific question that would really like to ask you, more especially about a leaked document. Obviously, that's already on WhatsApp groups and all that. Just tell us more about that. We understand that the media has not been allowed to actually publish the name that appears there. Can you just tell us why, even though it's now in the public domain?
Look, the document, I can safely say that it was not leaked. It slipped with other documents, of course, in the rush of what was happening inside court. But what is important, and this is why there was a plea, that document was not supposed to go into the public domain. Because we need to make sure, all of us and you, that at the end of the day, we don't compromise the integrity of the case. If we publish that document, we do anything, and the people must remember, the investigation, these are not the only guys that may have to face justice. We may need to arrest and prosecute more people. But if your handling of that document then leads to these guys, who we believe are guilty, being freed, we owe it to the family, we owe it to the football community, we owe it to all South Africans that those who killed Senzo must pay. But if we mishandle documents and people get free on a technicality, then we are all complicit to the murder of Senzo. So we need to act responsibly, and we need to make sure that we do our work professionally and ethically. It was a mistake in terms of how it happened, but let's all act responsibly. But what is important, though, is that instructions have been given for the matter to be taken forward, and for those who still need to be arrested, if they have to be arrested and prosecuted, those things to happen.
My colleague Chriselda Lewis was in court, and she was following closely the proceedings in court.
Mr. Gwema, I'd just like your reaction to what we saw take place in court this morning. The suspects quite adamant that they have nothing to do with the killing of Senzo Meyiwa, refusing to get into the dock as well, and also not wanting legal representation because they feel that they have no case to answer in this matter. Do you still believe, as the National Prosecuting Authority, that you have a watertight case against these suspects?
There's no doubt that the police have done phenomenal work. Of course, all of us work together to make sure that those who are guilty, they appear and they put their case before a magistrate, and in the end, he or she decides what is the real truth. What is important, however, anybody who attends court, most of the people who take the talk, they are always saying they are not guilty. And you know, guys from prison, they have these antics, they have this drama, they have decided to adopt a particular posture. And you know that you can see they discussed it, it was choreographed. So what is important is make sure that the facts as contained in the indictment, they are presented before court, then they must defend themselves against the allegations that are put to them. The drama, one side. The court has to take out the drama and to say, were you there? Did you shoot him? Are you responsible for his death? And that's all we want to know. And at the end of the day, the court must decide. That's the information and evidence that's going to be put before court.
So where to from now? We know that it's been postponed to the 27th. In between now and for the entire month until then, what's going to be happening?
In between now, there's a lot of work that has to be done. There's a lot of evidence that needs to be collected, and this is why, as I said earlier, when the decision was taken, because there is sufficient evidence to charge the 5, there was a lot that needs to be followed up on. There's a lot of work that still not be done, because we want to make sure there is no one who is involved in this thing that is not going to stand in the dock. So anyone on top of this 5 who may be outside. We need to make sure that by the time we come back, all those people are in.
Thanks so much for your time, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Msengwema, just one more. Just to clarify a little bit, I'm not sure if it's a confusion, but I think I'd rather like to clarify that. What AfroForum is saying they were briefed on by the police is that this was an orchestrated hit. This was an assassination. Can we just get some clarity on that?
Prosecutors work with evidence, not information. Not just any evidence, credible evidence. Maybe the further investigations that the prosecutors have said to the investigators, go and investigate, will come back with that, confirming that theory. For now, we work with what we have. In terms of what we have, it's sufficient for the 5 accused to appear. Between now and the 27th of November, anything is possible. So people are going to work and people are going to make sure, as I said earlier, a lot of work is being done in order to make sure that anyone who is involved in the killing of Senzo answers. Anyone who is involved in the murder is held accountable.
Watertight case, Mr. Ngogo?
We have a good case. The police have given the prosecution voluminous documents, went through the documents, went through each and every suspect, and we are fairly content that the people that appeared here today are the people linked to the offense. And as I said to you, is that further investigations must be done in order to make sure that there is no suspect left unturned in making sure that when we come back, if they have to be here, they are here. So the information the evidence that we have is credible, and the police have done good work, so we have a good case before court.
So maybe you are addressing a very important issue. When I joined you, I found it was in the middle. I don't know, was it referring to the Kelly Khumalo document that is going around?
Look, we don't have a document named after a person, but we have a document that was not supposed to be in the public domain. Given what was happening in court, it landed itself in the public domain. We seriously regret that. It's communication between the team, and it's communication that says this is information that we need. It's not supposed to be in the public domain, but the handling of that document, it's between us and justice. So if we handle it properly, we must make sure that justice is done and the people who have to account, the people who are liable, are able to account for what happened.
All right, thank you so much. And of course, that is NPA spokesperson, Mr. Sipho Ngwema, there wrapping it up for us here at the Boksburg Magistrates Court in Zinka. And of course, saying that in between now and the 27th of November, when this case returns at this particular court here, more arrests are imminent. But I'm not going to actually bring it back as yet. Let's just, for a few seconds, bring the voice of those who have been on the ground, of course, calling for justice in this matter. Sir, you are an Orlando Pirates supporter. Senzo Meyiwa was a goalkeeper, sterling goalkeeper for Amabagania. We are going to return here on the 27th. From what you heard and you saw in court today, what do you have to say?
Yes, justice must continue. We want our police to do their job. The courts must do their job. We are very, very depressed and disappointed that if you are guilty, then you are depriving the system to continue. But if you're not guilty, you walk into the court. Here's our justice system here. The police are doing their job, and they must do their job properly. We don't want corrupt police. I have a wife that's nearly killed, and she's out. Killed. 3 days to live. 2 daughters crying. Sir, I want justice to prevail. I want all soccer teams, all religious organizations, all institutions, that this justice must come about truthfully, honestly, because our fellow South Africans can get hurt. Today we see the cops just stopping us anyhow. I was stopped on the highway with the blue light. What comes into your mind? Sorry to say, white guy, you are stopped at blue lights in Maritzburg. We want this system and administration and organization and the institution to run properly. We don't want the police to use our tax money. Our Ramaphosa said, step aside. Bloemfontein, step aside. We want honesty and justice to prevail. We have a lot of things I can go to, even on foreign issues. The drug addiction and all that. I see them here right there at Standard Bank. We want the system must continue correctly. We don't want to feel disappointed. We're going to come back on the 27th. Siyafika! Siyabuya! Siyabangena!
Nna ne ke emetse karabo fela mara ba re ka 27 December ra khutla ke so ne ba tlo re khutla mo re tsebe ntho e right re go etsalang otherwise rona di supporter a re hlole ke next week na mo court go ba thola batho ba itsetse re ka kena mo court a re hlole ke next re ba motho a tshora ba motho
re batla justice re batla justice e phethehe re kgathetse ke ba bolai mo South Africa bele hore ba sireletsa mo re kgathetse ke bona ya re batla batho ka phethala mo naheng ya rona ya South Africa maponesa bona hala ya tsamela kwa bona ska para uniform fela re kgathetse ke tax ya ba ijanyana na ba sa bereke next.
Guys, Senegal, I'm a farmer, I'm shopping. Bafika eKhoto baphendula ivene amaphoyisa bayishisa they were not arrested the same day, even one of them yashivene eKhoto like sila eKhoto. So ngicela amaphoyisa avikele iproperty yegovernment, bavikele ipublic evotela ukuthi inkundla babe nenkundla eparliament kuphi na kuphi. Please guys, abantwana bethu abantwana bethu babulawa daily basis, abazulu bethu babulawa daily basis, abafazi babulawa bafake emobeni. Yisiyaphi ngale mpilo lenana amaphoyisa akabonakale uma ushomi yakho isigebengu esibulala wena tomorrow write him off with his name noma ushomi mukhiphe nomntaka mzazi wakho mntaka mali makho mukhiphe ayisimuntu ni isigebengu ubhilunga echele. Please.
And of course, clear message there to police officers on my left hand shoulder, Nzinga, to say that they must do their job. They must make sure that they protect the public property, and of course, highlighting the incidents that happened in Senegal, in Free State, where one of the police vans was torched. But on this incident here in this matter, Nzinga, as you heard all that was said by my colleague Chriselda Lewis and of course the NPA as well. We will be back here on the 27th of November, but in between now and then, more arrests are imminent, and that's according to the NPA, to make sure that justice is served for the entire community of South Africa, for the entire community of soccer fans, as well as the family of Meyiwa.
Maageketla, Mohlabe, Chriselda Lewis giving us an update of what's been taking place in that court appearance of the murder suspects in the Senzo Meyiwa case.